It's Sunday, 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 which means another round of Skip Barber competition as we reach the halfway mark in the iRacing season for another fast track. And I've heard quite a deadly one this week. It's Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Don't ask me to get the car down any of the hills around here. With a massive elevation change in the first half before you run right all the way back up the hill to do it all again. Two tight 90-degree turns provide the greatest passing zone on this track, but in these drafty vehicles, I think people are going to be tempted by a lot today. And I've already heard stories of what has happened on more packed race days. Smaller split than usual today. We have 3.8k SOF hits quite a bit lower, but drivers have been very much battle-scarred by a lot of what they have seen on the track this week. I think whoever remains is going to have a fun one, though, with still a very packed grid and a good number of new drivers. Now, I think I've got the standings right this time. I know last week for the Formula 4s, I got them terribly wrong. So, I believe it's like this. Our top three championship contenders are all here today. Tim Hendrickson only 1 point ahead of Neil Gardner. Adam Miles is our strongest iRacing driver in the lobby, but he's missed a few weeks, which is going to mean catching up. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. Also, I beat Dario Frattini in the Lotus 49s this week. Just thought I'd report that one. And it's nothing to do with how he crashed the car and I finished in last on the lead lap. Nothing at all. Qualifying is underway as it stands. And this is a very, very fast, tricky, sweeping track. It drives me slightly insane, to be totally honest. So I can't move the car around here under any circumstances. Drivers are going to be setting their times just about now. Even in heavy aero, they're tricky, but these cars have very little of it. I've forgotten the corner names, and I can pull that one up while we take a look at the onboard of Tim Hendrickson. He raced the last time, slotted as the number 1 car, and has now been unseated to become the number 2 car. And I'm utterly convinced that there's no corner here that truly satisfies me. These are the tough Moss corner. It's a technically 2 corners. They call all of this 1. We run down the Mario Andretti straightway and into the S's to finish a lap. This is going to bring packs very, very close together. When packs come close together in the Skip Barber cars, sometimes Skip Barber cars explode. Still 22 cars, nothing to be ashamed of at all. As we take a look at Tim Hendrickson's current lap. Looks like it's going to be clean, and he might set the benchmark to start this today, as Adam Miles hasn't actually got nearly as far around the track on his. We'll see where the times are going to about hit for drivers on the first lap. Tim Hendrickson crosses the line with a 33.8. Really a 7.93, rounded just a little bit, I think, by iRacing. Here's Adam Miles, our number 1 car of the day. As we keep an eye on how his laps are predicted around this track, this is another one that has some slightly tricky camera angles. I'm going to have to really deal with this. The scores flowing in. Jurgen Osbeck getting the next fastest, but only Tim has the 33. I'd be amazed if that's not an off-track. Myself is Jerne Zorek. Running around the back. Looks like he could be slotting in the 34s. Only one driver's gotten a 33, but actually Tim does claim the next one. 33.7. He's even faster. It's Yannick Marrell. It's there on there. My scoreboard's confusing the hell out of me, okay? My scoreboard's confusing the hell out of me. Now, chat, was that an off-track? I'm not completely sure earlier on in the race. If it wasn't, Tim's going to be in for a flyer. It was Adam Miles who almost went off. It's early morning. Adam Miles didn't get off track, and he set a 33.5. Tim Hendrickson, if he didn't go off track earlier, he could be looking for a 33.3 over the line. He's really dipping onto the grass. 33.2, quite possibly. He gets a 33.2. That's a stunning lap. Still plenty more drivers to go. Here's some new ones on the field. Juan Vicente Martinez. That prediction is obviously some way off, but it's based on the data that the overlay gets. He's not going to quite get his lap cleanly done. Neil Gardner yet to also set a clean one. The first one was dirty. This is going to be his only chance. Do we have a reasonable prediction? We have a reasonable prediction. He's going to be the 33s too, but now a ton of drivers have pulled it into the 33s, and he's only going to get a 33.9. Chris Wayne at the same time, so it's a faster lap, and Daniel Latuga improves his position. But they're flying around everywhere. It's hard to follow around it. Are there any drivers still running laps? Pacini's running slow. He's finished his time. Philip Wheeler just sitting in at the pit lane. Juan Vicente Martinez still looking to get one on the board. Jason Wilhelm looks like he's not going to try and set a lap in time. As soon as this one's across the line, I think I'll have to show the starting grid because, quite frankly, it's a big one. It is a clean one. That will be P20. And we have a very, very big grid. And Adam Miles, I did not realize Adam Miles had a third one to set, but he sets the fastest of the quali. He gets the 33.0. That's making a 32 look incredibly realistic this race. I think the 33.2 is almost certainly on the books. Let's just talk about our starting grid as it stands for the race. Wrong button? Wrong button indeed. Adam Miles gets into P1 with a 33.04. Disappointed I missed that one. Tim Hendrickson sets the next best laps behind in P2. Dario Frattini sits in third. A very good, strong lap with Daniel Latuga up in fourth. Ryan Chenoweth only makes the fifth. He's going to be starting alongside Yannick Marrell. Chris Wayne and Joachim Osbeck take up 7 and 8. Neil Gardner, disappointing performance compared to his typical finishing place in 9th, but he's very good at making his way up the grid, as is Jerne Zorek. Tero Hitanen is the first driver past R10 alongside David Kennedy. Alexander Wesley Hazelworth is back for P13 with Peter Sapanki in 14. A couple new drivers now. Mark Lay and Daniel Wood on the 15th, 16th, and they'll be starting in front of Adrian Basinski and Horten Rugtrip. With Harold Puefa in 19, Juan Vicente Martinez in 20, and there's a few drivers further behind, Philip Wheeler and Jason Wilman not starting. Not setting a time, they'll be starting on the back rows of the grid. That means gridding is just about ready. We've got a packed field, and it's got a very, very big skill spread. It seems like a few of the biggest drivers have chosen to miss today's race out. Overlay in place. I realised that you didn't quite see our starting grid, so let's just show it. I'll just very quickly show the cars as we go. Bye! Well, I mean, I've read out all these names. It's 22 of them. I've got to get through gridding just in time. There's some efficiency when you don't need to read them out. And that's the back of the cars. Wilhelm and Wheeler do indeed load in. Do indeed load in when the session's over. Drivers getting ready to grid now. And when's it all going to kick off is my real big question to myself today. I've heard that a lot of crazy things have happened. Neil Gardner told me before the race that he crashed 6 times in 5 attempts at this track. Some of the pros are going to be happy to see the back of this circuit. But these sort of spectacular races lead to spectacular, exciting, surprising results for these drivers, and possibly a very big shake-up in our championship. So let's be able to show that. I can just show that just for a second. I won't talk much for it because we're about to go green. Still waiting for one car to grid. It's Dario. Name it. That's the championship standings as it stands after this race, because they're now on the grid. Never mind. It's not one of my days. That's accurate if no one moves their position whatsoever, but we have the green flag, and it's Daniel Atoga. Let's start up right next to Adam Miles. Tim Hendrickson takes a wide line behind as drivers largely trying to go single file through this first turn. Not seeing too much in the way of erratic movements, but there's Adam Miles and Atoga taking very different lines. Miles keeping it wide is going to keep in the momentum down the grid. Tim Hendrickson looks around the inside there of Atoga. He's going to just about not take it at this very moment. Don't see any dramatic movements, though, in our first lap. This back stretch is going to be horribly drafty when we finally reach it. Wesley Hazelworth also gains a position. Sensible moves early on in the day. I'm not seeing much in the way of big moves, even with the standing start, but this straight is going to provide a lot of drafting throughout the race, and in fact Tim Hendrickson is sticking his nose out already. We're 3 wide down the Mario Andretti straight, and there's more momentum on the left-hand side here for Daniel Atoga. And Tim Hendrickson. Adam Miles doesn't look like he has much speed, but he's going to keep that inside line. I see a little bit lost from Atoga. It might have been under his own power. He has just about recovered, but only barely. That puts Dario right back into P3. Good save. Thought something horrible was going to happen there all of a sudden. And Adam Miles leads back at the end of lap 1 with a good, I'd say it's a decent lead visually, according to my eyes, but I know how quick these drivers are going to pile in. Ryan Chenoweth also getting a pretty good first lap thanks to Atoga's little mistake. He ends up back in this race though. We're still running pretty clean around this track. Don't tell me all the death was hyped up for very, very little. I'm sure we'll get to see some more plenty soon. But right now it stands pretty clear. David Kennedy, that's Joachim Osbeck. He's gone behind. There's our first death of the day. It's Joachim Osbeck who's gone back and behind. Might have to try and catch what happened to him. Our number 12 car on the grid today. Would have been as he started making it down this hill. This would lead to a meatball flag. It is a little bit of a punt from behind from Hazelworth, and the purple car behind them both leads to death and devastation. As Adam Miles has claimed the lead of this race. Right during the replays, there's going to be lots of chopping and changing all throughout here today, and the 1-2-3 stands as it does. Daniel Atoga, he proves he is fast with the fastest lap, and he hasn't left this front pack whatsoever. Wesley Hazelworth and Osbeck then have to serve repairs after their big little incident down this hill. Now I see what they mean by the death. It's this top 5 that so far have the pace to stick. Yannick Marrell behind is going to have to try and join this. They really are just roaring themselves on by. Keeping it clean and sensible for a Skip Barber race with car with such side draft and such slipstream. You really do only really want to make your moves clear on the final lap very often. David Kennedy's also dropped to the back. There's actually too many drivers to show on the tower this week, so it has certainly been a big split as we go 2 wide for 2 rows. Adam Miles on the right got the better of the inside line last time we saw him. He's going to hold it up ahead. Atoga wants that top 3 back. Adam Miles sort of loses it a little, and that's going to give Hendrickson advantage there into the S's. All 4 drivers slowed down. That's put Chenoweth right on the rear of the field. big gap between this 5 and the cars behind. No, this is really the chase. I'm going to look for some of these other drivers to make their way up, though. Neil Gardner could make his way up. Yannick Marrell and Zerne Zorek in that pack behind. I've seen some big moves over these races, and they're longer than they seem. This pack stays as it stands for now. Looking on the right-hand side there, I see Daniel Otoga looking to try and slot himself out. Tightest corners of the circuit before we head on to the big drafty back straight. But I'm noticing the passing is definitely happening based on where cars position themselves into these S's. And there's a big draft from Otoga. He tries to go to the inside. There isn't enough space. That movement might slow him down, but both definitely have the run on Tim. 3 wide, Adam in the middle. Daniel Otoga on the left. They're going to hold it 3 wide. But Hendrickson looks like he has momentum this time, and the middle's going to really start losing out. Cars go a little bit sideways now. Hendrickson holds the lead, and Adam Miles drops well back. Here comes Otoga, though, to try and make up that time. And he's gonna sneak in onto the inside. Gonna hold it through. That's Daniel Otoga. He's our new race leader, but I don't think it will stay that way for very long. Down the hill. Otoga hasn't really been a championship contender up to now very much. He's looking to get some massive points and maybe finally a win in this series that has very much been monopolised by some of the best drivers week in, week out. Now, ignore all my overlay oopsies, because I've made loads of overlay oopsies just today, okay? Like, I swear I set up those championship standings for half an hour only for it to all go wrong when they're on the grid and it's updating points live. Watch this. Magic. That's what we call magic. I can tell you that those are accurate to the current race positions right now until someone proves me wrong. Tim Hendrickson would love a win, and he'd love to pull ahead. There was a 1-point gap in it. 10 points between first and second in the scoring system. We're 3 wide again. This time it's Miles on the inside. He's got massive momentum. Absolutely sends it into that corner. The inside might be proving to be quite powerful. If you're faster coming into that second half of the S's, you can really scare other people off. And it looks like that's just what happened. It looks like it is what has happened. I don't think Chenoweth's at this at all. I see Yannick Marrell's dropped significantly. Doesn't look like there's much damage. Could have been a self-inflicted spin down the hill. Next time I go look at that, I will probably lose the plot. Should be 10 to go. About 15 minutes, I think. Plenty of time in this sprint race format. I remember racing these race lengths when I was brand new and thinking, that's a bit long compared to the MX-5 Cup. That's a little bit much. Nowadays I race IMSA. 45 minutes doesn't feel like quite enough time. Should be able to visualize on this track map just some of the gaps between classes. I'm well aware that the numbers stay very, very close to each other, but you can just see that very, very big clump all the way at the front, and then it all drops back quite significantly. So that's where these drivers are. And Adam Miles really wants that inside. The other two weren't quite able to get the draft on a train that tight. And again, Adam's really defensively driving up front here. He's really making sure that no one gets a line that they want going into these S's. It's tight and it's tough. But there's still lots going on back here, and I don't want to miss it. Here's Tero Itanen on Adrian Bastinski. Further up ahead, our fastest lap set by Otoga. There's plenty more of these big trains happening and plenty more of this action going on behind. It's Peter Sapanki of the Elkic Racing Team leading this small line. And then Zerne Zorek is quite some time up ahead. These downhills are just death to me on my own. Don't even need other cars. I'm not holding. Doesn't matter how much downforce. I'm just not holding a car through them. I think it requires a degree of bravery and understanding that I'm just not at yet. And Miles proving why he is the 9.4k I-rating race leader right now. And he won in terms of I-rating in the lobby as he's going to really, he seems to just have a line that he has been practicing all week. As far to the left as possible. Toga's got the run. But how it develops out of these corners is important. We're going 3 wide again. Plenty of space for it, I've seen among these drivers. Toga loses out in the middle. Hendrickson has a good entry. And this time he might have a better exit and shut the door in front of Adam Miles. Indeed he has. Strong exit there from Tim Hendrickson. Reclaims the P1. I wouldn't count any of these drivers out until the final lap. That's often how it goes around there. Our fastest lap now a 32.2. Could we get a 31 today? I'll try and pull out the fastest lap for you. I'm sure that's data I can get. Kero and Krasinski still the next closest drivers down the road. I'm not seeing too many people punching their way through the field. In fact, the gap between Neil Gardner and Ryan Chenoweth being 2.5 for about 2.7 seconds, depending on the situation. Not too much headway, but Neil gets on the back of that pack. Suddenly, it all opens up, and we've seen some crazy comeback drives. And if draft racing isn't for you, tune in next week to the Charlotte Roval. It's my favourite free track in iRacing. Does that make me a masochist? No one's meant to like those chicanes as Adam Miles uses the draft at the inside line that he's mastered so well this race to reclaim the P1. It seems like every time Tim takes the P1, Adam has an answer straight away. Peter Sapanki punching up past Mark Lay as well. Try and claim more points in this race. It's Chris Wayne on the back of Neil Gardner, who is the next one trying to catch the pack. He's usually always at the front. He got such a bad qualifying time this week that he didn't lock in much of a path up the road, but with 2.8 seconds, he's not made up significant time. Running on your own is just slower here. But never say never there as well. You don't have the pressure of other cars bearing down on you. So Dario and Ryan here haven't really joined the tussling. They're totally within range to make a strike, and they may just make it when the time is right. But they haven't been able to join this continuous trade for the top 3, currently led by Adam Miles. Probably going to change any second now. Cars aren't the fastest, but they potentially run quite close to their fastest down this back straight. The Mario Andretti straight away into the S's. Tim always gets a good run. See how well Adam Miles here can use this inside line that he's absolutely locked in. Could just fly past him. You need to disrupt him more with side draft if you want to get more out of this, and he's going to have the momentum. Keep that P1 this time, but Glass being picked up behind. Peter Sapanki still trading position for Mark Lane, not making gaps down the road to try to look at some more room. Here's Adrian Pasinki, who has fallen back quite a fair bit now. Not quite getting past Yannick Merrill, but everybody's having their lap-to-lap race. Only David Kennedy is out of this race. Is there a crash there? Have been a few crashes, and you know what? Shall we just go on a very quick tour? I think we go on a very, very quick tour of these things. Here's Jorgen Rigtrup. Don't say there's no death here. Jorgen Rigtrup sent wide. It's Philip Wheeler. compilation. I like it. How does he lose it here? Seems to think there was an accident here, but you usually get about 15 seconds until it happens, and I'm not seeing it develop quite yet. I'll give him this corner, and then I'll move on to the next one. Nah. Here's Jason Willman as well. Looks like he's lost that one himself. And here's Philip Wheeler again, perhaps. Have I been tricked? Nah, it's downhill. That's how I drive this car. He's captured me for real. Back to live pictures. As ever. Hope I didn't miss anything significant and spectacular. It does indeed look like Ryan Chenoweth really punched his way through quite a fair bit more. Is this a big mistake? We'll make sure to catch that. Not going to lose the live action today just to see a few car crashes. It's 3 wide as ever into the turn 1. Dario on the left running a bit slow. Here's Ryan behind though. Must have made up significant places to get here. It is contact there. That's the 2 car. That might have even damaged the wheel. That sent him back alongside Dario. And that's how we ended up here. He isn't damaged, clearly still running. It looked like the wheel got a little bit bent, but finally the driver's running a bit too close for a bit too long. Has locked in the necessary contact there. Or just catching that again on the second screen, and it's a very small mistake, but when these cars slide around, they'll slide into each other. Ryan Chenoweth's been waiting for this for a while. He'll be looking to join the pack soon. Daniel Atoga using the draft right now. Will Ryan actually go for this? Adam leaving a lot of space on the right this time. And he's not held it close enough because Daniel Atoga snuck on past. Ryan still not ready to make his move. His top 5 have not broken up for much. As we get 4 to go. And the new fastest lap, it was Dario Frattini. Down there in the back, here we are in the 31s, it's a 31.8. Neil Gardner way too far off this pack now to make up time. Gone from 2.5 seconds to 3 seconds. He's going to enjoy that P6 at best. Unless a race-changing catastrophe takes somebody out. And we've seen our first contact up at the front of the field now, so really anybody's game. Will have any of the drivers here learn from Adam's defensive maneuver down this Mario Andretti straight? And will any of them take the line that he has been so exploiting at this race to slingshot through? Because it's that right-hand side. Daniel Atoga does take it. He's all the way to the right. We've got space for 3 wide, and this is the first time Ryan's going to make it happen. There is contact still. Oh, getting very close. That was almost pure death, and that small contact has given Ryan Chenoweth the lead. Toga still banging wheels a bit with Hendrickson. He's going to fall back. That's a new race leader. Ryan Chenoweth really waited to take advantage of these situations, and he has used it absolutely. He leads. God, every one of these could end in disaster for somebody today. Feels like it at the very least. Daniel wants to... Oh, there's no move to be made quite down into there. Really, a lot of this track is quite processional. All the way up to the front. Up to those last few corners, which is really when people are making their absolutely boldest moves. Don't see Dario looking to try and make that shot either. So it stands with Ryan Chenoweth leading the way. Tim on the back of Adam, just about backs out of it before it's too late, and that slowing is going to give Daniel Atoga the P3 very easily. Both drivers at the front holding on the right-hand side. Ryan's all the way to the wall. Adam's going to go very wide, hoping the momentum helps him. He actually gets the clear. Done just in time. Further behind, I saw them going free wide and banging the wheels, and it's Dario Frattini. That's the victim of it. Oh. One more time. All those in the back. This is what we were waiting for. Oh, it does to me look like Daniel Atoga has been at the center of most of these contacts, and they're running himself so close. But these tiny things keep developing and exploding. Adam Miles, while we will learn, has he taken that lead in all of this? Oh, the tension's going to explode. I want to take a quick one more scan back down to the field while we're here. Here's Chris Wayne. He's P6. Neil Gardner able to take advantage of Dario's loss in position. He's up to P5. Both behind Journey, Zorek. He's holding off Taro Hitanen for 8th and 9th. Peter Sapalki is behind Taro. No, okay, Dario leads over Journey, leads over Taro, leads over Peter. Yannick then leads the next pack. Adrian Basinki and Mark Lay hustling out behind. We're chasing down the back stretch for the second to last time in this race. And Ryan has the outside. Adam's taking his favourite line. The momentum isn't quite there. It looks like it was getting pushed along by the 2-car. Ryan leads the field. It's the do-or-die lap on the Skip Barber Race Series. We always see something happen to finish these races. And Ryan is probably sweating no more time than ever. Because this is by no means at the end of it. There's 3 in it, 4 in it to win it. Maybe listed further behind. I just thought I'd maybe be able to catch it. Adam Basinki sent to the back. Don't want to lose track of this combat though instead. 40 points in the championship, 50 points in the championship for the leader, 40 for second. Adam Miles hardly a contender with some of the weeks that he's missed. Ryan will, whoever wins will slingshot. Ryan goes wide into Moss. Saves the car in time to be a part of this final draft down the backstretch. I see them 3 wide. The gap in the middle there, punched by the 2 of Tim Hendrickson. Daniel Atoga trying to weave his way. He wants to make it 4. That gap's going to be closed before he can force that to happen. Evidence in this race suggests that Adam has the line. He's going to want. We can see Daniel looking for every slot in. Adam with momentum. But he has the outside here, and I don't think he's done enough. Tim Hendrickson's going to sweep out. One more turn. It's going to be a photo finish again, I think. Not quite. Tim Hendrickson wins the race. Daniel Atoga actually picks up the P3. Ryan Chudaweth went from leading to 4th in just 1 3 wide. That was some terrifyingly forceful driving. Terrifying. Oh. I'm glad for once that it's not photo finish, but it was all going to go down to those last few corners, and I'm amazed that nobody could quite clear it. More drivers coming across the line. Here's Alexander Wesley Hazelworth and Mark Lay. Mark Lay up ahead. I think Hazelworth has it by the line there. Osbeck in 16th. Only more drivers behind. We'll get the whole pack up because there's so many finishers. So many. There was death. There was definitely death today. I mean, it's impossible to claim there wasn't. But I'd say the whole race was a little bit less deadly than we all may have expected. Maybe I just missed some of it. Maybe I just missed some of it indeed. We'll get those final results up on the screen right now. It's Tim Hendrickson leading over Adam Miles, with Daniel Atoga taking up a third after a very physical race. Ryan finishes in 4th, with Neil Gardner in 5th and Chris Wayne in 6th. Dario Frattini was in that battle the whole way until a little accident sent him back to 7th, with Zherne Zorek just behind Tero Hitanen in 9th, with Peter Sapanki in 10th. Behind him, Yannick Marrell, Jason Willman, Daniel Wood, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, Mark Lay with Joachim Osbeck, Juan Vicente Martinez in 17th, with Philip Wheeler in 18th, Adrian Basinski in 19th, with Jorgen Richtrup in 20th, ahead of Harold Profrefa and David Kennedy not finishing the race. Now, I think I have the standing set up properly. I've made mistakes in my life, including many while setting up overlays every single week, but I am pretty sure this is how it should stand. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was a 1-point gap going into this race, but that win has put Tim Hendrickson well and truly up ahead with that 10-point gap between the first and the second driver. Neil Gardner, not really seen in the pack today, is going to have to make up some. Ryan Chenoweth still keeping himself competitive. Adam Miles hasn't really run all the races to be a contender, but he would be up there if he did. But he's just a couple points ahead of Dario Frattini and Tero Hitanen. These things swing so fast. How did the top 4 make it out of that with no damage? Beatrice is very right in asking. That was a very, very bold question. Well, we're here next week, same time, same place for the Charlotte Roval. It's not the sort of drafty track you'd think. It's very tight, very technical, and there's bus stops, chicanes of death. I love that track. And tomorrow evening UK time, we will be bringing you the FF1600 series with the first wet race we'll be covering here. I love Donington Park, but it's going to be a real endurance challenge in the wet. And I can't wait to see it. So subscribe to the channel and tune in for more. I've been Howie Burroughs, thanking you for tuning in and wishing you a great week up ahead.